Thanks so much for listening to No Lions Here with me, Big Panda. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to No Lions Here. My name is Big Panda, and I'm a recovering sex addict. On the episode today, solo episode, get you guys kind of caught up with where I've been at and what's been going on in my life. Definitely some things have been going on. It's definitely been an interesting month. Before we get into it, I do want to give a shout out to today's sponsor for the episode, and that is Beginning Again Institute. If you or someone you loved is struggling with sex or porn addiction, definitely go check them out. Their information is going to be in the description of the episode. So definitely go check them out. And if you're watching us on YouTube, go check out all the episodes on Spotify. And if you're on Spotify, definitely go give us a subscribe on YouTube. I really appreciate all the subscriptions and everybody following and tuning in when I drop these episodes. Like, it means a lot to me. So thank you for all that. So, life's been really good lately. Recovery wise, I'm a little over 5 months from my inner circle behaviors, my bottom line behaviors, my acting out behaviors, whatever you want to call them, whatever program you're a part of, whatever you want to call them. So as far as my sexual sobriety goes, and that feels really good. This is like the most amount of time that I've had, basically my whole recovery over the last 3.5 years or so. And I think it's just a combination of finally just kind of getting to a place where I was just so sick of acting out. Like, acting out just really wasn't doing anything for me, right? I mean, these things, they can feel good, right? Like using drugs or alcohol. It does feel good, but like the mystery's gone from them. So it's like, it kind of got to a point where I just kind of got sick of it. And I was just like, I really need to make a change here. And, that was back, in May. And it was like, okay, if I'm going to start dating, like, I need to like really kind of clean this up a little bit, because the last thing that I wanted to do was carry those behaviors into, any kind of relationship. Like that would not be starting off on a good foot. So really just kind of like, hunkered down and was like, I don't want to be doing this anymore. And I kept making a lot of excuses. There was also a lot of resentment in my life. Just really trying to like hold on to the past. Like that victim mentality that I kind of talk about a lot. Just kind of living in that instead of kind of trying to like look at things as, positives in life, and that there's a lot to be grateful for, and that there's more to be grateful for than there is to be resentful or anything to play a victim about, really. And, it also, too, working at the treatment center, just being around recovery all more and just feeling like I have a purpose and like really being fulfilled. Like that was a big part of my life that I was really missing just with the other job that I had, just that purpose and fulfillment piece. And realizing that, like, me, who I am as a person, I strive in that area and thrive in that area when I have purpose and fulfillment in my life. And so being able to kind of, move into that role in the new job a little bit quicker than I thought that I was going to. I thought that it was going to be, a little later on down the road. And being able to step into that position earlier on, and then obviously, passing the test and becoming certified, and still just like really working and just really loving the job at the treatment center right now, and just the things that I get to do, the people that I get to meet, and like the stories that I get to hear, and the transformations that I get to see, and knowing that like I had a part in that. And it's not it's all me. I changed them. I did this, but being a part of that, and getting to share my experience. Like, I recently got asked to talk. They do like alumni meetings and bring in outside meetings to the treatment center. And I got asked this last week to speak at one of the meetings. And it was basically a lot of alumni, and then the current clients, they can go to the meeting. And then it's also like an outside meeting too. Now, this was like an AA meeting. And so here I am I don't work in AA program. I don't work in NA program. I work in SCA program. Now they're all 12 steps, but I found that because this was a few weeks back, I went to an NA meeting with a buddy of mine, a coworker of mine, and in my share, I used the word sober. Well, in NA, you use the term clean. In AA, you use the term sober. In SCA, sober, clean, whatever. Those they mix. And I used the term sober because I recently hit my 3 years clean from cocaine and alcohol, which is huge. It feels really good to be clean from those substances. But I had just passed my 3 year anniversary date for that, and so in my share I used the word sober, and an older guy in his share kind of spoke up and was like, if you work a different program, or if stick to that. If that works for you, stick to that. And if you're going to come into here, make sure you have the terminology right and the text right. And like, I didn't necessarily think anything of it. I thought it was just kind of an older guy kind of just going off on his tangent or whatever. And then my buddy after the meeting was like, "Hey man, don't let that discourage you. Don't let that get you down." And I was like, "Well, wait a second. He was talking to me?" And he was like, yeah, it's just kind of one of those old timers. And I kind of laughed it off. Like, I didn't really think much of it. Just kind of like, okay. But I was really seeing, like, and now this is just my view, that like there is definitely like a differences in how some of these other programs work. I'm not knocking any of the programs. I'm just familiar with the program that I have. And then obviously working in the treatment center for drugs and alcohol, I have experience. I'm getting more experience in these other programs, AA, NA, and how they operate. And it can be, I think I've heard that things have changed, but it used to be very like separated, right? Like, now I know that like if I go to an AA meeting, which I've been hitting some AA meetings recently, like I identify as an alcoholic. If I go to an NA meeting, I identify as a addict. If I go to an S meeting, I am a sex addict. So like, now I qualify for all these programs. It's just the one that I work is the S, because that to me is like my core addiction, right? My core problem. And so, but again, they're kind of separated, right? And they almost kind of like look down if you don't use the right terminology. And to me, coming from S, where like it's like really open-minded, to now getting to peek inside these other programs where things are a little bit more rigid almost. And now, from what I've heard, things have really changed over the years, and 12 step is 12 step, and it doesn't matter what program you work, we can all relate to each other. Now, like, I'm a firm believer of that. I'm a big believer of that. That's why I got into the recovery coaching stuff, because just because I'm a sex addict doesn't mean I can't relate to you as an alcoholic or a drug user, because I am those things too. And again, it doesn't matter. My view of addiction is, it doesn't matter what your vice is, what your behavior is. The underlying is what we can all relate to, right? The feelings, the trauma, wanting to soothe ourselves, wanting to cope, wanting to escape. Like, when it gets to that part, then okay, then we all kind of choose our own different thing. And for me, it was sex and drugs. However, for me, is more the sex side of things, the more the intimacy issues. But again, I also believe that, yes, you have your intimacy issue, but then these other addictions, alcohol, cocaine, drugs, sorry, not just cocaine, that's also trying to like escape from intimacy as well. So I don't know. These are just my views. These are my views, nobody else's views. Right or wrong. If you disagree, you disagree. That's fine. These are just kind of my views on it. So I got asked to speak at this AA meeting, at this alumni AA meeting, and I got asked. And when the program asks something of me, I say yes. Right? Like, hey, do you want to? We had a last minute speaker drop day before. Hey, can you speak tomorrow night? Yes, I can. Program tells me to say yes, so I'm going to say yes. I'm going to share my story. I'm going to talk. And then the day came for me to go to that meeting and share my story, and I was a little reserved. I was definitely fear, some anxiety there around just like, well, you know what? Like, this is an AA meeting, and here I am, and I'm going to talk about my sex addiction. Now, 12, again, back to the whole idea, like, and I talked to some coworkers about it, I talked to some people, and it was like, hey, man, like, 12-step is 12-step. Like, they can relate to you in what you're saying. You already run classes here. Clients relate to you. 12-step is 12-step. I also believe that part of my journey is to spread the message and the awareness around sexual addiction. And that this is an addiction that is very normalized in society today. It's not, it is still very like stigmatized. Also too, like, it's just not talked about. Right? Like, guys, we don't talk about things. We don't talk about these types of things. Society in general does not talk about these types of things, right? The sex addiction, the porn use. So I believe that one of the things in my journey is to spread that awareness and be that voice for somebody that is too afraid to speak up. And so I knew, okay, like, God's with me. It's going to be all right. Like, we're going to go in, we're going to talk. I talked to the guy that like asked me to speak, and I was like, hey man, I'm feeling a little in my head about things. This is an AA meeting. I'm a sex addict. Like, what? Now, it's also too, like, I'm not going in volunteering to speak at just some random AA meeting in the city. This is more of a, like, there are outsiders that come to it, but it's mainly alumni and current clients at the treatment center, who of which know me. They only just know bits and pieces of my story that I share in my teachings, right? That's one of the things I love about my job as a peer is I get to use my experience and I get to talk about that. I can disclose my experience, whereas when you start getting up into, the upper levels of counseling and therapy, you're not really supposed to disclose your story. It's more just about the client. So, and that's one of the parts I really love about I really like talking and I like sharing my story. So I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to go do this. And man, I'll tell you what, like, I got really, really scared. Like, I get nervous when I come in to do the podcast, and I still get some anxiety when I have to go in and teach class. And like, this was just like that on a level of 10, honestly. Like, just, I remember Ricky, you guys know Ricky from the show. Before we went over, he was like, hey man, I'm going to stick around, because it was right after I got off work. It's like a 6:00 meeting. And I was like, hey man, like, can you just give me a hug? And he was like, yeah, man, I'm going to stick around. I'm going to support you. Let's go pray. So like, we went to his office and we started praying, and man, I just like cried. I just like broke down in tears. I was really kind of confused as to like why was I so afraid? Like, again, I know my story, and I love talking in front of people. I love coming in. I love doing the podcast. Like, I love doing these things, and I'm good at these things. So like, why now am I all of a sudden so nervous to the point of tears, and so scared to the point of tears? And I think I was just kind of building up in my head. And also, it had been a while since I'd really like told my full story. And I tend to put a lot of stress on myself in those types of situations. And, once I got into it, once I started sharing, it was a full room of people. And outside people too showed up. And, it was really cool though. A lot of them are like, oh, we heard you were speaking, so we had to come up and we didn't want to miss this. And it was really cool. Like, I think soon I'm going to do an episode where like I tell my story again. Cause again, I haven't told my full story, one, in one sitting on the podcast, and two, just, for other people joining in that haven't gone back and listened to all, 80 plus episodes. I want to throw my story out there. So I think, one of these days I'm going to sit down and do my full story as an episode. And I think that'd be really helpful for me too. Yeah. So I went in and shared my story, and it was, it's funny because, I thought about this after the fact. It's like, I really want to sit down and like put some kind of structure to my story. Not like I'm going to sit here and I'm going to read my story as I'm telling it, but more just less picking out timelines and things to talk about. Cause there's always that, like, I get done sharing something and I'm like, oh, hindsight's 2020. Like, and I wish I would have gone back and shared this, and this. And in the moment, and even afterwards too, and I did a really good job of this last week, was like, hey man, like, you shared what you were supposed to share. You invited God in. God was involved. You shared what you were supposed to share. Like, there's no point in thinking back and being like, oh, I should have shared this, and this. Like, it doesn't matter. Right. I got a lot of really good feedback. And like, it was really cool, like, to share this, right? My journey through sexual addiction and recovery from that, and what that's looked like, and like where I'm at today. Like, it was a really good reminder for myself of like where I'm at today and the things that I've been through, and just being able to sit here today with a sense of gratitude, purpose, and peace, and feeling content with my life today. Like, yeah, I got problems, and I got things that I worry about, and things that I stress over, and things I'm afraid of. Absolutely. However, like, where I'm at today, like, I'm okay. And like, to be able to say that and believe that and feel that, like, that is something that, man, getting into early recovery, it was like, I'm never going to feel okay. Right? I'm never going to be okay in my own skin. Like, it's so hard. It's so hard to see and feel that hope early on. It is, and it's taken me some time to like really work through that. And I think it's just a testament to like the work that I've put in. And like, it was cool, like, because in my story, there's things that I used to be really ashamed of. And in sharing that, people's responses were like, man, like, you're so brave, and like, that took a lot of courage. And for me, it's like, well, I've said these things so many times that to me it doesn't feel like it's courageous or show a sign of my strength. It's just like, this is like early on in recovery, it was like, these are the things that I have to do, right? Like, I have to bring my secrets to the light in order for the shame to melt away and for me to find healing and peace in these things. And also knowing that, like, hey, like, that's not me anymore. And so, yeah, it was really cool. Got a lot of really good feedback, and I had some guys come up to me after I'd spoken, were like, hey, there's some things that I need to look at. Like, I had a guy recently, man, just an awesome client, younger guy, and drugs were his thing, and he came in, it was like one of his last days, and he was like, hey man, I heard that there's like a 12-step for like sex addiction. And I was like, yeah man, that's like what I'm a part of. And he was like, yeah, I think I got a problem. And I was like, oh yeah, like, okay, like, tell me about it. Like, how does that look for you? And because it's not my job, it's not my job to tell you yes, you're a sex addict, or no, you're not. Like, that's not up to me. What I can say is, okay, what's got you feeling like this? Here's some literature. Look at it. If you have questions, let me know, and like, I can try to help you answer these questions. So we started talking, and he's like, I could just really relate to you about the validation from women, and basically, like, I'm always looking for the next person to have sex with, and then I was like, well, hey man, you watch porn? And he was like, constantly. And I was like, okay, all right, like, maybe that. Here's some literature. Like, let me know. Like, we'll go hit a meeting together whenever we get out of here. And he hit me up. He got out on like a Friday, and this was last week. And he hit me up on Saturday and was like, hey man, it's so and so, and man, I'm doing well. I've been hitting meetings. And he was like, oh, by the way, I hit the Saturday morning SCA meeting. Now, I didn't tell him where to find these meetings at. I basically just gave him an SCA blue book and a pamphlet. So there you go, man. You can have these. Well, he went out on his own, found this Saturday morning meeting that I've been to before, and like, told me about it. I ended up calling him, and we talked about it, and he met a lot of people that I know. And so I thought it was really cool that he like went out, searched it on his own, because I've had guys come to me before and say, man, I think I got a problem with this, and this. And I'm like, okay, there's resources out there. Let me know if you want any. And then nobody like ever takes me up on that. And again, that's fine. Like, especially in drug and alcohol treatment, look, one thing at a time. And this is what I tell everybody, like, one thing at a time. If you're here for drugs and alcohol, let's focus on the drugs and alcohol. And if for some reason, things escalate with the porn or sex or anything like that, like, just know you have a resource out there and that there is help out there. So if that is something you do need, just keep that in mind, that this is a thing, this is what it looks like, this is what it can do to you. So we'll just kind of put that off to the side. So it was really cool for him to come to me, ask for some resources, and then went out on his own and found meetings. And so I think him and I are going to hit a meeting. We're going to go to my home group this coming week. I was out of town this last weekend, so I didn't go. So man, that was really cool. And something else, speaking of the treatment center, I was down. The girlfriend lives about an hour and 20 minutes south of me in Missouri. And so I went down, and they've got a little AA clubhouse down there. So I was like, you know what? While I'm here, let me check out some AA meetings. I qualify. Again, recovery is for recovery. 12-step is 12-step, right? We're all just trying to get better, and we can all relate. I can relate to an alcoholic. I think an alcoholic can relate to me. Let's go. And I got a buddy, Andy, from the program. He's earlier episode, Woman Shaped Whole with Andy. Great episode. Go check that out. He actually lives down in the town that the girlfriend lives in. So I was like, hey, man, I'm coming down. Let's go to this AA meeting. He was like, all right, let's go. And as soon as I walk in the door, I hear Alex. And I look up, and it was a female client from the treatment center that graduated like 4 months ago. She was there with her husband. I totally forgot that she had kind of lived down in that area. And so it was really cool, a really cool full circle kind of moment to see her at that AA meeting. Here she was 4 months clean, 4 months sober, and doing really well. And that there were things that I had taught her that she really that she sticks with to this day, or things that the treatment center in general taught her that she sticks with to today. So I thought that was really special and really cool to be a part of. It was definitely a godsend thing for sure. So, just the client going out and finding his own meeting, and then running into a client that's, at a meeting that's, 100 miles away from where the treatment center is. And so that was really, really cool. Just things to be grateful for. Just really, really grateful. Something else that has happened recently was that I had a very brief conversation with Patricia. Now, I'm sure if you've been listening to me from the beginning, you are well aware Patricia is my ex that basically discovered not basically, she did. She discovered me, kicked me out of the house. That's what kind of catapulted me into getting serious about recovery and going to treatment, getting into 12-step. The end of that relationship was what really catapulted me in. And, I had done some episodes. I haven't really talked about her in some time because, I've made peace with that, and I've moved past that relationship. And I truly am past that relationship and have been for a little bit of time now. And, I share with you guys that I play hockey, and I've been going to this rink, and sure enough, her now husband plays in that league. And so sometimes I'd see her there. We've never conversed. We've never even as little as made eye contact before in the 3 or 4 times that I've ran into her there. And so, I went to my game. This was last Saturday, and a lot happened that last weekend. Ran into her. I spoke at a meeting, anyway. So I see her, and she's there with the boys. And you know what and what was cool was before that game, I actually went to grab some food with a couple of previous clients from the treatment center that I've been talking to, and I invited them to the game, so we went and got food. So I walked in, so I was already feeling good. I was hanging out with these guys, talking recovery stuff, in my element, feeling good. Walked in, and I saw her, and there really wasn't much reaction. Really wasn't much. And something just kind of came over me that said, you know what, she just got married. You know what? If I get an opportunity, if our paths cross, I'm going to say something to her. I'm going to tell her, congratulations. Congratulations, happy for you. And if I get that opportunity, I might as well apologize. Now, this is something that, I've wanted to do, the amends process, making amends, saying sorry to the people that I've hurt. And clearly, she was one of the ones that I had hurt. And so, I said, okay, like if we cross paths, I'm going to, sorry, I don't know what that was. Something on my screen just happened. But anyway, so sure enough, we crossed paths and there was a brief conversation. I think I was like walking out of the locker room and she was walking into the building, and we crossed paths, and I said, hey, we looked at each other and said hi. And I said, hey, congratulations. And she said, oh, thank you. She said, hey, my boys are here. They asked if they could say hi. So I was like, yeah, you know what? Let's go say hi. Went over, kind of talked to her two little boys for, again, 30 seconds, maybe. Just, hey, how's it going, guys? Good to see you guys. You guys been staying out of trouble. Man, you guys look big. Cool. And then I was like, okay, I'm trying to remove myself from the situation. And I didn't want to linger too long. And I just looked at her and I said, hey, I just want to apologize. And she kind of was like, oh yeah, you don't have to. And I was like, no, like I do. I apologize. And then she was like, okay, and then I just walked away. And, it wasn't this like long drawn out, like, let me explain to you why I have to apologize to you. Nothing like that. It just, that was an opportunity. I felt very clean I felt very clean. You know, very clean. I didn't feel like I did anything wrong. There were some thoughts afterwards of like, was that the best time and place? What? That was the only time and place, right? I'm not going to search her out. I don't even have her number anymore. I'm not going to search her out. I'm not going to do that. Like, just our paths crossed. And I thought that was a good opportunity that was put in front of me to say that, okay, like I looked her in her eyes and I apologized. So I felt really good. As soon as I got done with that, like I texted my guys, said, hey guys, this is the situation. This is what happened. Just throwing this out there. I'll talk to you guys a little bit more about it later. So then I went, played hockey. We won the game. It was a good game. And after the game, now, as soon as I had that conversation, I knew, okay, I need to tell my girlfriend, my present partner now. I need to tell her this. I need to tell her, hey, I had this interaction. This is how it went. I'm just letting you know. Right. And I felt like I knew that, like, that immediately, like, this is not because I did anything wrong, but just that honesty and transparency piece, that foundation that we really tried to build this new relationship on is honesty, transparency, trust. And I want to keep this going. Like, yeah, like I don't have to tell her. It's not like this was premeditated. Okay, if I'm going into this, if I see her, I'm gonna say something to her. It was again just very spontaneous. Opportunity presented itself. Hey, but I felt really good around the, like, I'm gonna tell her. And there was no battle in my mind around like, no, you shouldn't tell her. Again, just practicing that, safeguarding this new relationship that I in. Like, I want to do whatever I can to safeguard this relationship. Like, I want to safeguard this relationship that I have with my partner now. Like, she's amazing. It's an amazing. Hey guys, I just want to take a minute to share something deeply personal and transformative in my journey of recovery. I've been where you might be right now, struggling with the weight of addiction and feeling lost. But there's a place that offered me a new beginning, a place I truly believe in. It's called Begin Again Institute. At Begin Again, they understand the deep-rooted trauma behind addiction. Their 14-day intensive program for men tackles the neurobiological aspects of addiction head-on. It's not just about breaking a habit. It's about understanding and healing the underlying trauma that formed it in the first place. And for those who have been impacted by betrayal, Begin Again extends care to partners of addicts too. Their partner support program is offered at no additional cost to the family and runs alongside the men's intensive. This program helps participants gain an understanding of the trauma they've experienced and sets them on their own path to healing. If you or someone you love are grappling with sexual addiction, pornography addiction, or intimacy issues, Begin Again Institute can be that pivotal step towards recovery and a new lease on life. Remember, you can't go back and change the past, but it's never too late to begin again. To learn more about their life-changing program, visit beginagaininstitute.com or call 776-9076 to reserve your spot in the next 2-week intensive. I promise, it'll be the best call that you ever make for yourself. Stay strong, keep fighting, and keep tuning in to No Lions Here for more conversations about recovery, resilience, and hope. It's a healthy, loving, supportive relationship. And I don't want to ruin that. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to do everything that I can in my power to safeguard the relationship. So I knew I'm going to tell her, and I'm going to allow her to have I'm going to allow her an ear. Hey, okay, hey, look, I just told you this. You were more than welcome and allowed to tell me how you feel, and we can have a conversation around this. Like, it wasn't, again, it's not an exclamation point or a period. It's a ... on anything that I bring up, anything that's brought up onto the table. I don't believe that it should be an exclamation point, or it should be the, hey, we can talk about this. Tell me how you feel. Like, you have feelings. We can talk about it. And so I called her, and I was going. Ricky came to the game as well, and we were going to go grab some food afterwards. And I felt I only had probably 10 or 15 minutes to talk to her on the way to go get food. And it was like, she couldn't make the game, and we were talking about the game a little bit. And then I was like, well, hey, are you going to be up for a little bit? And she was like, well, what's a little bit? And I was like, I don't know, like an hour or so. She was like, yeah, I should be up. Give me a call. If I'm not, I won't answer. And I was like, okay. I want to talk. And she's like, well, what's going on? And I was like, I want to tell you something. And she's like, well, now I'm a little nervous. And I said, okay, well, hey, I don't want you to feel nervous. It's nothing bad. But here's the situation. I ran into my ex. We had a brief conversation. I told her I apologized, and then I walked away. I'm like, that's it. And I just want to tell you, just to tell you. And she was like, okay, all right. And I was like, I said, I'm sorry. Like, I don't want to dump this on you and then be like, okay, sorry, I got to go. Like, I want you to know that I will give you the time to hear you and hear anything that you need to say around this at all. And she was like, okay, yeah, no, I appreciate it. Well, she's like, well, I'm glad you got that. And, and she's like, just as long as you don't have feelings for her anymore. And I was like, no, absolutely not. And that little brief interaction with Patricia really it confirmed it. I didn't have any feelings. Not that I haven't been questioning that at all. I haven't been questioning that at all. I know that I don't have feelings for her. I've moved on from her, but that interaction did confirm, hey, yeah, there's nothing there. There's nothing there there's nothing there. And I said, no, that's not, there's nothing there. You have my heart. I'm committed to you. I love you. I'm with you. She was like, okay, good. Okay. She was like, okay, well, thanks for letting me know. And, then then I went in, I had dinner with Ricky, and I talked to Ricky about it. And he was like, yeah, man, you sound clean and everything like that. Well, then whenever I came out, I got in my car and I was getting ready to call a girlfriend, and I saw that she had texted me. Literally right then and there, she had texted me. I was thinking about calling her, and she texted me, and she's like, hey, I need some space for a while. I hope you have a good night. And I wasn't surprised by that. It definitely, maybe it was a little surprising in the moment. I just felt kind of I felt like, shit, what did I do wrong? I did something wrong here. When in reality, my brain, I'm going, no, I didn't do anything wrong. Yeah, it was, I remember the whole car ride home, I was just kind of it was really uncomfortable. Because I was just in this place of racking my brain, what did I do wrong? Well, no, I didn't really do anything wrong. Okay, let me try to see this from her perspective. If she shared that with me, if the roles were reversed, yeah, I'd probably have some feelings about it as well, and I would probably need some space too. Now, what I didn't like about in that exchange is her and I kind of got into it a little bit a couple weeks ago, and I needed some space, but I didn't ask for it, and I kind of just pulled away and left her feeling very lonely and betrayed, and in the dark on whatever I was dealing with. And we had some really good conversations around that, and it was kind of okay, hey, if one of us needs space, that's fine. We are totally allowed to ask for space. We are totally allowed to be given each other space. Giving you space is not a problem. I can totally do that. It's just we talked about when we ask for space, can there be some kind of reassurance there? Like, hey, I love you. I'm committed to you. It's just right now, I need some space to kind of process through what I'm dealing with, what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, whatever it is. And we both agreed that, like, yes, like that's the best course of action for both of us. Because I think that when you have that reassurance, I don't have to sit and wonder where I stand or where she stands with me. If I can give her that reassurance of, hey, I just need space. We are allowed to ask for space. We are allowed to be granted space. We all need some space from time to time. We all need it. And so being able to ask for that, I think one is huge. Like I applaud her. I celebrate her for saying, hey, I need space. Instead of taking out whatever it was she was feeling on me, she asked for space. And I was like, full-heartedly, I celebrate that. I applaud you, like proud of you for asking for that. I just didn't like how it left me feeling. Because then like I got insecure and uncomfortable and like, okay, well, when am I going to hear back from you? I don't know. I didn't really get that reassurance piece. Like, when am I going to hear back from you? I don't know. Can I reach out to you? Like, you just all these things we didn't talk about. And it was kind of like, all right, just go home, go to bed. Woke up the next morning, still hadn't heard from her. And it was just kind of like, I don't know, like it was really uncomfortable, like, because at that point in time, like I wasn't ready to cancel Christmas or anything, but I didn't know where I stood at that point in time. And there was some fear there, like total fear, insecure, little boy stuff, like just scared. And, I knew like, hey, you know what? Like, again, I'm not ready to cancel Christmas. I'm proud of her for asking for space. She's probably just working through things. She'll come back to me, but it's like we had a trip this last week, and it's like, well, is she going to come back and be like, hey, sorry, trip's canceled. I canceled the trip. I'm not going anymore. Deuces. Worst case scenario. Some reason I always go to worst case scenario. And she eventually got back to me. Hey, how's it going? How's your day going? I love you. Like, and it was funny though, because at that point in time it wasn't like, okay, cool, like she's back, I was now in my feelings around it, and I wasn't feeling all happy, joyous, and free that I got a text from her again, and we're back to talking, and the Christmas isn't canceled, the trip isn't canceled, we're still together. But it's just like, and we've had multiple conversations since then around this, and they've been really productive conversations, and I feel like that whole situation like definitely brought us closer. I shared about it while I was teaching class because it was on my brain, and looking at it now, talking earlier on in the episode around just like where I was to where I am now, one of the promises is I will intuitively know how to handle situations that used to baffle me. And in the past, I would not have granted that space, right? I would have made it all about me. I would have made a bigger deal. I probably would have gone and acted out. I would have been playing King Baby and victim mentality, and like I would have handled it so much differently. And today with a program, like I don't have to go back to those old ways of handling things. Like I have my people that I can lean on. And after we came back and we kind of talked about things, one that I really, really liked was she told me that she called one of her good friends to talk to her. And she was like, Alex, I know you didn't do anything wrong. She's like, I'm glad that you got that experience. And like, I knew you didn't do anything wrong. I knew that. But she's like, that triggered some of my own trauma. And, I needed space. I needed to work through it. And she told me that she called one of her good friends to talk to her about it. And like, I loved hearing that, right? Like part of my dating plan was, okay, what are my non-negotiables? What am I looking for in a partner? And one of the things that I'm looking for is somebody that has their own network that they can go to in times like that, in situations like that, and talk to their people about it. Talk. Because again, we can't necessarily be there for each other. And, one of the things that she said afterwards was like because I told her how I felt and she apologized, and I was like, well, I'm not looking for you to apologize. I'm not looking to blame you. I'm just letting you know this is how I felt about it. And I was like, you don't need to apologize. Like this is my stuff, not your stuff. And she was like, I just wanted to make sure. She's like, I just had all these feelings, all these emotions. I didn't want to just dump them on you. I needed the space so that I could show up as my best version for yourself. And I said, hey, look, like, I appreciate that. And again, if you need space, like, ask for space and I'll give that to you. However, like, we're not always going to be able to show up like squeaky clean, smelling like roses for each other. Like, it's going to look rocky from time to time. Like I said, I want all of you, right? Like, I don't want just the best version of you. Like, I want all of you. The good, the bad, the imperfections, the flaws, like, because you're going to get that from me, right? I'm not perfect. I'm not always my best self. I'm not always the best version of myself. Feelings, I still react. We're not saints. Now, I don't have to necessarily live that sinner lifestyle, but I'm not a saint though either. I'm gonna mess up. I'm gonna react to things, and it's about being able to show up no matter where you're at, and just saying, "Hey, look, like, this is me. This is me." Um, and so again, that like really brought us closer. That really, really brought us closer. And so, like, I'm grateful for those situations. And it's funny, I talked to Jeff, my sponsor, during this whole ordeal, and he gave me a really good reminder. He was like, Alex, these are not bad things that you're dealing with right now. He's like, these are actually really great things, because this is giving you an opportunity to look at things and to move through things. And so is all of our experiences in recovery, right? Like, if I view them as bad, well, then things are always going to be bad. Now, do I always have the mindset of, okay, this is an experience and I'm going to learn from this? No. Sometimes I am like, this is terrible. This is bad. I can't believe this. Oh, mother, woe is me. Like, again, I'm not a saint. I'm not perfect. But I don't have to go back to that sinner lifestyle. And when I say sinner lifestyle, I mean like active addiction. Like, I don't got to go back there. And so it was a good reminder though, of like, okay, hey, like, we're going to come back together. We're going to be stronger on the other side of this. And I'm grateful for these experiences, and that these are positive experiences if we choose to view them like that and work through them. Are we going to choose them like that? Are we going to have multiple conversations around this? Or because I'm feeling uncomfortable with it, am I just going to sweep it under the rug? And today I'm really grateful that, like, I have that choice. Like, whereas before in active addiction, like, I didn't know that I had that choice. I did not know that I had that choice. I thought that the only route was, we don't talk about things. I'm going to go and react, and I'm going to do things behind your back, and then I'm going to feel shame and guilt about them, but we're never going to talk about them. Whereas today, like, I don't have to let that shame and guilt run. It's not there if I'm not acting. If I'm not acting out, like, the shame isn't there. And so therefore I'm not reacting to shame now, right? I'm able to show up and say, okay, yep, I'm uncomfortable. However, I'm not doing anything to intensify that uncomfortableness for myself in the form of acting out or using. So I can now show up shame-free, knowing that you can still trust me, knowing that, hey, if you ask for space or if I ask for space, just know that, like, I'm working my program and I'm doing the things that I need to do for myself to make sure that I don't fall back into these old ways, these old patterns. And so, like, it all turned out really well. Me and the girlfriend, we just went on a little 2-night excursion. We went and stayed in a treehouse Airbnb with a hot tub on a lake, and it was amazing. It was awesome. I took my first day off from work, used my first vacation day. I needed to get away. I was feeling a little burnt out at the job, a little compassion fatigue. Something that I'm really bumping up against right now is making sure that I'm taking care of myself so that I can show up to the treatment center and in my relationships and be that best version of myself. Now, I'm not always going to be there, but what can I do for myself? And I think that this little getaway really helped recharge me. I got a lot of rest and relaxation in, and that, like, felt really good to just spend time with her and not have to worry about all these other things going on, and I could just get some rest. Rest is so important for us. It's so important for me, just rest and relaxation to recharge my batteries, because they were definitely feeling a little low going into last week. Something else that is new to me that I've been doing. It's the 10th month. It is October. We're almost to the end of October. Halloween's coming up. And my Ricky from the treatment center, you guys know him. Go check out that episode. Really good episode with Ricky. Powerful. Real passionate guy. Like, love the dude immensely. He came to me before the end of September and said, "Hey, I'm going to be doing this 30-day 10-step inventory every single night. There's a list of 35, 36 questions. It's from an NA workbook because he works the NA program." And he said, "Hey, would you like to be a part of this with me?" Now, every single night, we are going to do this inventory. Here's the printout. You're going to sit down. You're going to answer these questions about your day. And then you're simply going to text me and tell me you're done. Now, if one of us misses a night, we're going to do this for 30 days. If one of us misses a day, that 30 days starts over. And so I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm scared, but I'll do it. I'm scared. I'm scared that I'm not going to keep up with it. I'm scared that I'm not going to have time. I'm scared that I'm going to do it wrong. Whatever. Let's put my fears to the side. Again, the program tells me to say yes. So I said yes, I will do it. So every night for the last 20, what's today? Today's the 27th. So I haven't done it. I'll do it tonight. So for the last 26 days at night, before I go to bed, I'm sitting down and I'm honestly answering these 35 10th step questions. 10th step is daily inventory. And some of these questions are like, have I reaffirmed my faith in God? Do I see any old patterns in my life? Was I selfish, dishonest, afraid today? Did I keep something from my sponsor that I should have shared with him? What was something that I did today that I wish I didn't do? What didn't I do today that I wish I would have done? How was I of service to others? Did I go to a meeting? Did I talk to another person in recovery? What patterns, what defects played a life? Did I have extreme feelings today? Like, it's really good inventory work. Like, I feel like I do a good job of like looking back at my day and looking at, okay, where could I tighten things up? Where can I do it things differently tomorrow? But then also realizing too that like I have good days to where like my defects don't play a part in my day. I am loving towards all. I don't have extreme feelings. Like I'm full of gratitude and love and peace and joy and feeling content and like there's some days that like and it's funny because like in doing this inventory work and writing out my answers for the day, like some days I'm like, oh yeah, that's yeah, I can do better. And then there's other days where I'm like, man, am I being honest with myself here? Because today seemed like it was a pretty good day. Like, and it's like breaking that that mindset of like I always have to be looking for things that I did wrong. When I can go about my day and not have old patterns pop up. I can go out through my day where I don't have extreme feelings and that I'm middle of the boat. I can have days where there wasn't anything that I wish I didn't do or there wasn't anything that I wish I did more of and that like my defects didn't play a part of my day today. And like that's like cool. Like I can totally have those days. And I can have days where that 10th step is in multiple pages because I'm writing out a lot of things or it's just a front side and the back side of that page. And then what I try to do at the end of it, I think the last question is what do I have to be grateful for today? I always go through and I always make a gratitude list of 10 different things. And I try to make them different every single time. And again, that's really gotten me into routine of really looking at my day at the end of my day. And there's sometimes there are things that I missed. Like I did a 10 step the other night and I sat down and I'm thinking, oh, yeah, I'm good. And then it's like, and then I put it away, got in bed, and I was like, "Oh, wait a second, there's something else I should have put on there." Like, okay, well, I'm noticing it now. Okay, yep, all right, yeah, I see that. Okay, how can I go about that differently? And so it's just been like I don't know, just the work. The work has been really fulfilling, really purposeful lately for me. Just really feeling like, okay, cool, like I'm doing what I need to do to look at my side of the street and clean up my side of the street. And like that's in recovery, like that's my goal every single day is to okay, recognize those old patterns or those defects that are taking part in my day. And one, am I letting them take over my day? Am I seeing them? Am I letting them take over my day? And if they do start to take over my day, okay, what did I do to overcome those today? And the ones that I'm coming up with pretty consistently are prayer and exercise and connection. Prayer, exercise, connection. Those seem to be the ones that have really helped me out, just moving through my day and not having to go back and buy into those old thoughts that pop up, because those thoughts do pop up, right? I was listening to another guy share his story. He was our executive director at the treatment center, and he was talking about how recovery is about learning that, like, you are not your thoughts. And I remember hearing that early on in treatment, was like, you are not your thoughts, right? Because we always have these thoughts that pop up. And another thing that he really said that was really good was, as an addict, my first thought that pops up is usually wrong. The second thought that pops up is usually wrong. And the third thought is, I should probably call somebody and talk to them about this. And like, I thought that was like really relatable, and that's something that I could like really relate to, and there's something that I try to model in my life is, don't buy into that first thought, don't buy into that second thought, and the third thought is, I should probably talk to somebody about this. Or at least, if I can't talk to somebody, I need to probably pray about this. I need to give it up to my higher power, because that is connection for me. That is connection. So what can I do? And so again, the 10 steps just really like showing me these things, and it's showing me things to look at that, like, I don't really want to look at, right? We don't necessarily want to look at these things. I don't want to look at where I was wrong in that day. I don't want to look at where I want to be the best version at all times. However, I'm a human being. I'm not always going to be the best version at all times. And so like, that's been like really cool. Like, I don't know, like, the 30 days is almost up, but it's almost like I kind of want to keep doing it, because I like it. Again, there's a self-discipline involved in that too. Like, because I told Ricky, like, man, there are so many nights. It's funny too to like see the justifications that pop up in my head when it's like, man, it's getting late. I don't have time to sit down and do this inventory. I remember I was in the shower one night and I'm thinking, oh man, I still got to do this inventory. And well, you know what I can do is I'll just answer them in my head. And I was like, well, no. Or I could just say that I did it, and I don't really have to do it. And it's like, no. And then the thought process was, well, I'll just like answer them in my head, and I won't write them down. I'll just answer them in my head. Yes, no, yes, no, And then I was like, no, just sit down and do the thing, Alex. Like, even if I don't feel like doing it, just sit down and do the thing. And I think I timed myself, and it like took me all of like 5-7 minutes. Here I am thinking that it's going to take this long, drawn out process. This is going to take me 25 minutes. And oh my gosh, I'm going to get to bed late. And again, talking about those thoughts, that first thought, not good. I'm just going to lie about it and say that I did it. Second thought, well, I'll just answer it in my head. I won't write it down. Third thought, you know what? I should probably do this. I don't want to, so I probably should do that. Okay, cool. And then I did it. And again, there's still some nights where I'm like, I don't want to do this. But I'm making the time. I'm disciplining myself. That's one of the things that I'm looking at in my life right now, is like discipline, and trying to get a little bit better in different areas of my life. Again, not a complete overhaul on the discipline. However, like, there's areas in my life that I would like to be a little bit more disciplined in. So that's definitely something that I'm looking at and working towards getting better at that, and just seeing, okay, can I get better at this? And I definitely think that I can get better no matter what. So on that note, guys, I am going to wrap things up. I really appreciate you joining me on my journey, man. It means so much to me to be able to come in here and do this. And again, lately I've been feeling a little distant around the podcast, but grateful every time I come in here and do this. Right, coming in here and recording, it just confirms what I'm doing, and that just keep going, man. And again, that whole discipline thing, I know coming in here is a lot for me, because I'm hearing myself say, like, I'm feeling distant around the podcast, and I want to do it, but I'm just like, I don't really want to put the time into it. But knowing that, like, hey, I got to get an episode out tomorrow, so I need to come in and I need to do an episode. And so following through on that and being like, I'm gonna do that, and then coming in here and talking. Again, it really helps me out. So thank you guys so much for joining me on my journey. I really appreciate it. If there's any questions or topics or anything that you'd like to hear me discuss, please feel free to email me at nolionshere@gmail.com. Again, that's nolionshere@gmail.com. Go check out the YouTube channel, go subscribe, go follow us on Spotify, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. We're all across the board. Go check us out, guys. I really appreciate it. I hope I hear from some of you guys. I love connecting with listeners. So again, thank you so much for joining me on my journey. It means a lot to me, and I'm really grateful to be in this spot now. And yeah, stay tuned. As always, keep coming back. It works if you work it, and you're worth it. I'll see you guys next time.